state-of-the-art ones.
Yes.
So state-of-the-art, everyone has seen these. They're silicon solar cells. They're on rooftops. They're in fields. The problem with silicon solar cells, they're great, by the way. I'm not trying to, we shouldn't move away from them, everybody. We should just try to find other alternatives. The problem with silicon solar cells is that they take an enormous amount of energy to make. So people don't know this, but to make a silicon solar cell, it takes 8 years worth of its lifetime. So that means the solar cell has to work for 8 years before it becomes green, right? Before it starts to pay back for the energy that it took to make it.
Yeah.
So that's expensive. But that's still okay because those cells last for 20 years.
Okay.
Okay. The other problem with those solar cells is that they're opaque. So light will not go through them, and therefore they can't be applied to any surface. They can't be used as windows, right?
Okay.
For example. But I could convert windows with a coating into something that would still look like a window to our eyes, but it would convert some of that light into electricity. Okay, so that's sort of the idea. But more globally, we could just apply this as a coating anywhere. So where things are painted, I can apply this coating. So that's what we're working towards. That's our holy grail, if you will, right? That's our objective. And we have a few different strategies on how to get there.
I think, yeah, this is quite interesting. But before we dive in deep with that topic, Bryan can choose any research topic. As a professor, you have that luxury of selecting the topic. What makes you select a particular research topic?
Yeah, so it comes back to that farming, right? This bio-inspired. So it's very much bio-inspired. So plants are a good example. Some plants, you need to put in direct sunlight to grow. That's required. But other plants, if you put them in direct sunlight, they will die. Okay, so that means they are able to harvest diffuse energy. Another limitation with these silicon cells is that they only work in direct sunlight when it's a bright, sunny day. There's lots of areas in the world that would work. But when it's overcast or we're in a northern or southern hemisphere, you don't get the same intensity of light. So this particular topic is very much bio-inspired. So if you think about how plants grow, that's where we extracted and you look at a process called photosynthesis, that's where we extracted some of our inspiration from. So we didn't try to replicate nature because that would take billions of years, but instead we tried to mimic it and short circuit it in a way. And that's what we are using in our technology.
Okay, so if you want to give an overview of what currently Bryan is working on, is it mainly the solar cell or other stuff as well?
We have, as you said in the introduction, we have a lot of applied projects that I just find fascinating. Like they're not relating to photovoltaics, so my skill set, I would define myself as an electrochemist.
Okay.
So I'm able to make and design organic systems that have the potential to give up an electron or take it back. So it's this stability that is important. It's also true in photosynthesis. So that's my area of expertise. But I have lots of interests in smart textiles. I think that's a really cool area.
Yeah.
Again, it's an electrochemical problem. I love energy storage, so batteries. Again, that's an electrochemical problem. I love the OLEDs, so that's the television screens and all the technology that goes into producing light. But it's all related to light and matter. So I am a chemist, so I love to be able to manipulate matter with my hands, just like a chef likes to manipulate food to make a gourmet meal.
Yeah. Typically, there are a lot of challenges with any technology, and especially the new technology and new revelation. If we want to highlight the major challenges for the
so we are always thinking about commercialization, although that's a long-term thing, right? There's some weird psychology in the solar cell space that you have to get to 10% efficiency. So what I mean by that, 10 photons of light give you 1 electron. Okay, 10%, right? 10%. But it's a very arbitrary number. And I don't know why. And that is a threshold that is hard to achieve in new technology development, especially at the lab scale. But that's one thing. There are some roadblocks in terms of like realizing our goal of commercialization, but we have some patents, and so that's been something we're very excited about, generating that intellectual property. And I think we just need to convince people, just like anything else. You might have a good idea, and people understand it, but for some reason they put some sort of bias against it, and you just have to remove those biases.
Is it convincing people or convincing the government?
That's a good question. That is both. I mean, I think, so interestingly enough, my grant, even though I'm a chemist, is actually in the chemical engineering pool.
Okay.
So because of our applied nature and the technology and the fabrication that we do, it resembles more of what chemical engineers might do than chemists. Yes. And so I think it's different groups are hard to convince. And government, since we have this platform, need to invest more, right? We've seen this after the pandemic. Our gross domestic product is decreased in Canada, and that means our productivity is decreasing. And that's not good. Like, you can't have a false economy if the productivity is decreasing. And it has a lot to do with investment in innovation. And if they don't start to help people develop technologies or at least intellectual property, then I think it's going to affect the wealth of our nation too.